What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another edition of Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey. I am your host, Corey, and that is your co-host, Scotty. Scotty, what's going on, man?
Happy Sunday, man. A lot of stuff going on. We got some things to cover today. Um, how about we let you start with our boy uh Brandon Ayuk? Do you have anything new for us on that?
I do. But before we get into that, I am going to, uh, guys, we have a birthday in the house. Scotty has a big birthday today, so uh, if you guys see him you guys see him, or if you get the chance to message him a happy birthday. Uh, anyway, moving forward, happy birthday, my fair partner. Um,
Appreciate you, brother.
so on the Brandon Ayuk side of things, the Commanders, it is very obvious that the Commanders are not going to trade for him. They're asking obviously too much, and they don't want to take in that big cap hit. So, and it's also likely that they are only going to sign him to a 1-year prove it deal. We all, of course, you and I both know how bad he wants to play with Jaden. It doesn't seem like the 49ers are adamant in giving him up just yet. Um, but as you've predicted, you think that they'll probably do that before the uh, the June 1st date. So, what do you think about the situation?
So I was reading from an NFL insider just yesterday that it seems more likely than not that he will be cut June 2nd of this year. I don't know why they don't go ahead and release him with a post June 1st designation. I think that's just the 49ers playing hardball, honestly. And the more that comes out about this situation, the more it seems like that's just their MO. Um, I'm not sure. What I am sure about is that there's a lot of trade talk, but there's also a lot of talk about him having a no trade clause, so he gets to choose where he gets traded anyway, because he, as the player, has to waive that. Um, I do like the idea from a 49ers perspective of waiving him post June 1st, which they can release him now with a post June 1st designation and allow him to get in with the team and be there, be present for activities. Now, really quickly, what a post June 1st designation does is it affects the way that salary is distributed. The way that I understand it and the way that it was broken down to me is that's when guarantees go into effect. You get guarantees on the new league year, 1st of April, and the 1st of June, which lowers your cap hit upon release as a player. So the post June 1st designation makes a lot of sense. I think it lowers his cap hit down to like 21.1 or so million dollars for a release. Um, But as far as the trade thing goes, it does not appear to me that that's a viable option. I know that they probably want to try to deal him during the NFL draft. I don't see anyone taking on that contract, especially given the entire saga around BA as a player. I also don't see him waiving his no trade clause for anyone but Washington. And even if it's a seventh, I still don't think that they take him on a trade deal. I think, like we've been talking for the past couple of weeks, he's gonna be released and he's gonna get signed to a 1 year prove it deal somewhere in the $6 to $8 million range, I would imagine. Uh, but I don't think that he's going to waive his trade clause for basically anyone but Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, as he's made it very clear since Jaden entered the league in 2024 that that's where he wants to be. To the point where the 49ers went out and were like, here's 4 years, $120 million, ton of guarantees. Um, we're just trying to make you happy. And then he shows up for the team. And obviously, George Kittle's comments last week have uh, have rang throughout the NFL since. So it seems a lot more as this comes out that it's less BA being the crazy X and it's more John Lynch in the front office.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've heard all season long, um, or all off season rather, that you know Ayuk wants to be in Washington, and who can blame him? Young quarterback. We have a stellar defense after the free agency. As long as they, obviously as long as they perform well, but if they hold up to the standards that they should be, especially with Odafe being a former first round pick. So I mean, I think things are starting to look good in Washington, and what that's not with bias. Um, just being honest there, the defense is coming together. Dan Quinn knows how to build a good defense. He wanted to get younger. He did that. So I can't blame him for wanting to be a part of a winning squad. And I think next year is going to be that NFC winning the NFC East again for the Commanders for sure. Um, moving on, we have uh, some fifth year options being exercised. Now, Jackson Smith and Jigba is one of those guys, and his option is roughly $23.85 million for 1 year, which is nuts. Um, but he said, and I quote, that, um, well, maybe I don't quote because now I can't remember, but it's something along the lines of, I'm in no rush to get it done, um, because I believe I should be the highest paid at this position. He said he knows that when his time comes, that's when it'll come. He's not in any rush. He's not in no hurry. He has no problem with the fifth year option. So he's just happy to be playing the game he loves. And then we move on to Devin Witherspoon, who also got his fifth year option in Seattle at $21.1 million. Excuse me, partner. Anyhow, um, those two guys obviously getting their fifth year options. What do you think about this? Do you think they should have just went ahead and signed a contract with them, or do you think that this fifth year option is a good idea?
I think, given the activity at wide receiver throughout free agency, the fifth year option, especially for Jackson Smith and Jigba, is an excellent idea. He has proven, especially all throughout this season, that he is the best hands on the field. He has proven that he is better this year than Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, um, even veterans like Cooper Kupp and Devonte Adams. He has proven that he is truly the best at what he does, and the fifth year option makes the most sense from the Seattle Seahawks front office standpoint because let's look at a couple of things here. We had Romeo Dobbs get just a hair north of, I think it was $18 million per year, and we have Alec Pierce, who stayed with the Colts at right at $30 million per year. Jackson Smith and Jigma outperformed both of those guys, uh, hand and fist. He had a stellar season, and if they were going to pay him based off of the season that he had, he's looking at probably a $35 million average annual value
Wow,
on his contract.
that is nuts.
So if you look at it from the outside, $24 million for his fifth year option is a stellar deal. And Devin Witherspoon, we'll just transition right from there to Devin Witherspoon, was in the top 10 on his side of the ball. Not just at his position, he was a top 10 player on his side of the football on that defense. A discount, if you ask me, at $21.1 million ish for his fifth year option. The Seahawks have a couple of very big decisions to make, though, because if they cannot pay those two players going into next offseason, someone will. Someone will. And the franchise tag for, you can only do one of them. You can only get one of them with your franchise or transition tag. So one of them will walk if they cannot find a way to pay both of them, and they will get a payday somewhere else.
Right.
So as far as the short term, beautiful decision. I think that the Seahawks front office has a lot of maneuvering to do. Now, I do think that they are pretty good on cap space going into next season as it stands. So they should probably able to at least work out one deal and tag the other and then get the deal worked out the next season. But they have the flexibility, and we will see if they exercise those options, especially some of the people that they let walk this season. I think that was strategic. I think they want to pay these two players, and I think that comes with hefty price tags. Early prediction: I think Jackson Smith and Jigbo walks away with a 4 or 5 year deal that's somewhere in the $35 million per year range. He will be the highest paid at his position. He may even get $40 million. He is, Ohio State being wide receiver university. He is a stud among studs.
Right.
And Devin Witherspoon, as I was looking at his PFF grades, one of the best in coverage in the entire NFL. He'll probably reel in more than his $21.1 million fifth year tender. So they have some decisions to make. I think that they at least retain one of them. I think that they are going to do everything that they can to retain both of them next offseason. But from a short term front office standpoint, these are both steals for players of their caliber.
So with them doing this fifth year option, to me it sounds like it's allowing them to basically keep them for the season and then build up some cap space, if you will, so that way they can restructure some guys, do what they got to do to pull these guys in. And I imagine somewhere along the mid to late season uh, of the 2026-2027 season, they're probably going to pull them in, start talking about contracts, so they can start figuring out how to rework that kind of thing. But as you said, man, it's great. It's a great option. If I feel like if you have the cap space, go ahead and lock one of these guys in, especially Jackson Smith and Jigba, because he's probably not going to decline. And I'm not saying Witherspoon will, but you just see that both are very susceptible to injury because it's a pro sport. But I just feel like that Jackson Smith and Jigba, if you compare the two, is way better. Um, you have less chance of him, I guess, going down is what I'm trying to say. Than Devin Witherspoon, and I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is also more committed to Seattle. He seems like a guy who's easy to talk with, easy to negotiate with. Yes, he's not going to be pushed over, but I don't know. I just feel like it'd be easier to get a deal done with him than it would be with Devin Witherspoon. Uh, so I would at least lock down one of those two, especially if you have the cap space. So I'm not really sure why they went with the two options, other than the fact that they're just trying to build more cap space. Um, maybe that's the case. Um, but speaking of cases, you guys can go on down to aspiredrinks.com/discount/OTB25 and get yourself a lovely Aspire energy drink. They are healthy. It is 80 milligrams of natural caffeine. There is no jitters, zero sugars, zero calories. It has vitamins B and C, which the no sugar, no calories. There's also no carbs, which makes it a healthy drink for diabetics. It is keto friendly, um, and it is good. I actually just picked up my first case this week, and I gotta tell you, I'm happy to have it. Tastes great. Um, so go on down again. That is aspiredrinks.com/discount/OTB25 and get yourself an Aspire Drinks. It does help us on the channel to keep this channel going, this podcast running. And yeah, let's go get you guys some of that.
Cleanest energy on the market. Beautiful stuff. I actually used to work for a place that distributed it, and they have this blue raspberry flavor. It is unbelievably good. It is so good. None of that funky aftertaste that that have been known to be passed down with clean energy drinks like this. It's good. We actually got whole cases at a time, and I thought it was fantastic. Huge get for us here on Off the Bench to have support like Aspire Drinks. So thank you to them.
Absolutely. And now we are going to move on to something that you guys probably liked last week, and that was my co-host Scotty's. You guys know him. He's a great guy. He did the first rendition of our mock draft here on the channel,
I'm just trying to be cool like you though.
and now we're going now we're going to step into what I think the mock draft will look like. What our draft will look like. This is week one, and this is the finishing off of it. Um, so let's just pull it up here. There we go. So we got the commanders selected, and then we're going to enter the draft here. Start draft. Now we come down to pick pick 7 in the first round. Here's what I think. I think Washington doesn't go for Carnell Tate. I feel like they're going to make the. I feel like before the draft we're going to come down with Ayuk. I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's not right before the draft. I'm hoping it's not during the draft because then they're going to make us trade. So I'm hoping that before the draft, in 4 weeks, we get a deal done with Brandon Ayuk, or maybe even after we pursue him. I think we go after Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is top among the safeties. He's the best safety in the draft. I feel like he's really shown himself to be one of the more NFL ready uh, defensive backs in the league or in the draft. So Jeremiah Love, which I still don't know why they do this. He went to the Cardinals. David Bailey, sorry, went to Tennessee, which I think in real draft the Jeremiah Love is going to end up going to Tennessee. That's my thoughts. I really do believe that's what's going to happen. So we're going to take Caleb Downs in the first one. Now, here's where I'm going to trade. I'm going to trade with the. Let's see. Who's. Yeah, we're going to trade back 10 places. Um, with. If I can find them. The Jaguars. And we are going to trade them for their pick. And let's go with pick 124. And I give them this one. Cool. So we traded back, got two extra drafts, two extra picks in out of that. So, and I think with this one, this is where I think they're going to go after possibly a wide receiver or even a center. I think them going after a center to replace Tyler Biotish. Uh, well, to have someone in his place to be learning. I'm sure they'll go after someone in a veteran standpoint to have them learn, but I think that they're more likely to go after a center or a wide receiver. So I think it's going to end up being Connor. He allowed 2 sacks last year, but he has kind of gotten better throughout his career. He's played big teams, so we're gonna go with that. If I can click on it. Okay. So now if you look at the needs here, defensive line. I think it's defensive line. Um, let's see. I still don't think they go after a running back because we have signed three extra running backs in that running back room plus Bill. So there's four running backs already, and I know at least two of them are going to stay. Now we might end up cutting one or two. Um, I don't know. I feel like here's where we go for that wide receiver, and we take the best one available, which will be Brandon Thompson. And we'll look at Brennan, and he did wonderful in his 2024 season. He didn't do so good in this one. His 2025 season, he did much better. And this is only 5 games played in the 2023 season. So really, he's just getting better as he goes along. And again, this is in the fourth round. So I say this is what, day two? Um, so we'll take
Fourth
him.
round was day 3, I think.
Day three. Okay. Now we're getting down here into the late round picks. This is round five, and I think they go for some depth here. I think if they're going to sign anyone, it might be. I don't think they go for tight end. We have three great guys in that tight end room. I don't think they go for another tight end. I don't think they go for a running back again. I think we could look for some depth at maybe cornerback, or I don't think they go for another wide receiver. Um, Either go for cornerback or tackle, and those are the three things that are best available. I say they go for probably cornerback just for depth, have someone else in there. I don't know if they would go for Devin Marshall or if they would go for just depth at tackle. I'm personally, if it were me, I would take the cornerback just to have some depth. Played well in his 2025 season. Um, 2 touchdowns at cornerback, 2 INTs. So both of his interceptions went back for a pick six. So we go take that. Now we're in the late round six. I think we just go for depth and we take an edge rusher out of Ohio State. And then for I think this is our last pick, isn't it? Nope. Oh shit, we got three more. Okay. Um, I'd say go for really when you get into these late rounds, you're really just looking for depth. Now we did get Bill in the late round, and Bill is awesome. Huge Bill fan. So I don't know. I think he
Big
might
flyer on Bill,
big
taking
flyer.
only one game in his senior season for eligibility issues, but turned out great.
Yeah, Bill is a. I mean, we all love Bill. You can't tell me you don't like some Bill Krosky merit. At this point, I think you start taking things as they are available. Um, our, I mean, we do need some wide receiver depth. So I say we take one, see how well he does. Kendrick Law doesn't look bad. Um, I really wanted a Trey Moore or a Bishop Fitzgerald. Those guys are I think they're going to be underdogs coming into the league. We're going to take Lorenzo Styles Jr. out of Ohio State.
That's a good get as well. I like Styles.
And then again for some more depth, we're going to take Dane Key out of Nebraska, wide receiver. Maybe. Look at let's look at a few candidates here. I don't like how this guy kind of went backwards. Um, Dang. Let's see here. You know what? As much as I've been preaching against it, they might take another late round halfback. He had 1,000 yards last year. Robert Henry Jr. from the UTSA Roadrunners. Take that. And the draft grade is a B plus. That's not bad.
Very nice. Very nice,
It's not bad.
partner.
We got a couple of steals here. Um, obviously, Caleb Downs, which they have him graded at a B plus at number 8. Whatever. Um, Connor Liu B minus. They liked the pick at Brandon Thompson at 116. I think that really helped my grade a little bit. Devin Marshall C plus, Caden Curry B plus, Lorenzo Styles Jr. A minus. I mean, we're building an Ohio State squad. I mean, look at us.
I mean,
So anyway, that is
having
my
attitudes.
yeah. Look, Ohio State's they're pretty good. They don't have a losing squad over there for sure. But that is my rendition of the week. It's the first week rendition of our mock draft. Tell me what you guys think. What would you have done differently? Would you have grabbed someone else where I did not? Comment down below. All right, partner. What you
Would you
got for
guys
me?
have traded? Let's let's hear that as well. Let's hear your trade hypotheses as well. I'm eager. I'm eager to hear this. Real quick subject that I want to touch on, and it's it's a subject that I think is just it's not worth a ton of time, but it is worth mentioning. Cam Scadaboo, running back for the Giants, has made some interesting comments on the subjects of CTE and asthma, and has since apologized. He has issued an apology. He called them tasteless jokes, but he did say that both CTE and asthma were excuses, and um, that they basically they either weren't real or they were excuses. He has since called those tasteless jokes. I believe that he has seen an error to his ways. I would like to think that um, young microphone in his hand. He's been out of football since October. Kind of restless. It's a subject that's been very highly debated, especially recently, and especially with the comments that came out of Emeka Ibuka's camp as well. But I think that he has accepted accountability and atoned. But let's keep it football, boys. Um, but I do applaud him for immediately taking accountability, and I do. I also applaud him for not having the organization step in. Now, this is not a knock on Emeka Ibuka, but the Buccaneers basically said Ibuka doesn't own or run this account. It's a false account. There were tons of other signs that said otherwise. So good on Cam for being like, "Hey, that was me. I said something reckless." Now he does not have plausible deniability because he said it on a podcast. But I do like his accountability to be like that was a tasteless joke. Um, it was meant for entertainment purposes. Um, that's my bad. So I applaud him for that because not everybody has that, and accountability is up there with availability whenever it comes to ability. Knowing that he was in the wrong, that gives him the opportunity to learn and grow. But
Absolutely.
the thick subject matter of this week, we are going to pre-draft break down a division, a podcast until we get to the draft. So let's start this week with the NFC South. I know I have some fans down here in the South with me that are like, "Hey man, why don't you cover those Saints?" Who done said they gonna beat
Absolutely.
them Saints? And you know what? We're gonna start in the NFC South and break down that division as far as where they were last season, how the teams have improved, um, or gotten worse, and where that leaves them for the draft. So I'm going to start out here with the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll just alternate teams. I'm just on the NFL 2026 free agency website, so any of you guys can go in and see the information that I'm seeing. I think the big thing being having gotten Tua Tagovailoa.
Hmm.
That to me is a huge move, especially with an aging Kirk Cousins making a ton of money, who's probably not going to be on the roster either at the start of the season or next year. I think a team with a veteran need is going to try to make a play for him. Uh, Tua provides veteran leadership for Michael Penix. That's huge for them. Also, league minimum. He's making very little money on the Falcons books, and he's making a ton of money on the Dolphins books. So this to me is a stellar move. That is an upward trending move for the Falcons. If he can stay healthy, he is a top 10 quarterback. He has a beautiful arm, incredible touch, can make all the throws. I
Now, what I
like
like
Tua.
about this in particular is we see them doing the same thing Washington is doing, where they're grabbing a guy that they don't really have to change their game plan with. Tua, just like Michael Penix, is left-handed, so they play the same. They both can scramble a little bit, um, and Tua makes a great backup for those reasons. He doesn't. You don't have to change the entire game plan around the guy whenever your guy goes down. You know what I mean? So I really like them getting him for that reason.
Absolutely, absolutely. I also like this next move, these next two moves actually, because it adds to a wide receiver room that um, was diminished. So they went out and got Jahan Dotson, a free agent from the Eagles, former Commander. He signed a 2-year, $15 million deal, 10 million guaranteed, max value of $17 million. I think that is a they may have overpaid for his services. Good on him for getting the bag though. And they went out and got Alameda Zaccheaus, who is a former Atlanta Falcon. He comes back down south, and that helps a ton behind Drake London. To me, that adds two quality slot guys. Jahan Dotson can also do it on the outside. His rookie season, he was a bona fide number two, and I think getting back to a system where he can work more methodically like that is going to benefit him a ton. He can take huge steps forward um, with the Atlanta Falcons, and I think that they put him in a really good position to do so, especially with strong arm quarterbacks down there and smart guys.
Yeah, dude. Uh, I'm a big fan of Alameda Zaccheaus and Jahan Dotson. I like them both. Didn't like Jahan Dotson going to the Eagles. Obviously, anything that comes out of Washington goes in within the division. Don't like that at all. But Alameda Zaccheaus, I mean, he did really well for us in the 2024 season. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like both of them. They both signed. I mean, Jahan Dotson got a damn bag, or darn bag. Sorry, guys. Um, and then
This is an 18 plus podcast. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Um, but yeah, I like both those options as well. It adds to that wide receiver room, and I like to see those guys doing well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Another position that I feel like they shored up at least in the short term, the tight end room. Went out and got another Atlanta veteran, Austin Hooper, to come in and got him on a relatively good deal. I think that is President of Football Operations Matt Ryan whispering to the GM and being like, "Hey, I played with this guy. I think he's really, really good, and he provides a solid option of both blocking and pass catching until they find their long-term answer, which could be right here in the draft." But also franchise tagging Kyle Pitts, which is probably way less than they were going to have to pay him. His franchise tag is 15.04 and some change $1 million. I think they were looking at a bag if they wanted to retain him on a contract. I think they are going to also have to make some money moves to make that happen. But getting him back at least for 1 year, that's a solid tight end room.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Moving right along to the defense, Samson Abukum was one of my favorite free agents in this defensive class. I think he fits well in that defense alongside Aziz Ojolari. Both of those guys are going to add quality, depth, even could be potential starters. Both of those guys can bend really well, get after the quarterback. They have great spin moves. I like the athleticism of both of these guys. Not quite as long as I would like personally for my edge rushers, but they fit well. As well as defensive end Cameron Thomas. Also, a good quality depth get for them. That makes a lot of sense to me. Laquale London re-signing with the team on that defensive line, also huge. And Deshaun Hand is a big get. I like the addition of Deshaun Hand. Big body in the middle of the defensive line, can play all over. Um, but it makes a lot of sense. They are doing a lot of 1 year deals, though, which is something that the Commanders have been guilty of over the past couple of years,
Yep.
and it's caused a lot of turnover. But that's kind of what happens with depth guys.
Yeah, you and I
So
talked
we're
about
not.
that quite a bit actually about how you make it just seems like you're making one good push for the Super Bowl, and then your entire team falls apart um, because you only sign 1 year deals, and most 1 year deals are not coming back. Now you do get some guys that will come back for a couple of years, or maybe come back for another year like we did with Bobby, but it just you're making this one good push, and I don't even know if they are even with all of this. I don't know if they are contenders for that. Of course, every team likes to think that they are going to be trying, or they are going to be contenders. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Williams also signing a 1 year deal with the team on that defensive line. Staying on the defensive side of the ball, Christian Harris, a linebacker, coming in for some good quality depth. They have pretty good backers down there. Going to be filling a hole left by Caden Ellis. Um, him going elsewhere. Here's the big acquisition on the defensive side of the ball for me. Acquiring Sidney Brown from the Eagles in a trade. That trade consists of the Falcons getting Sidney Brown, the safety, a 2026 fourth and sixth round selection, and the Eagles will receive a fourth and sixth round. So it's basically just a late round pick swap plus SB. Uh, Kicker Nick Folk signing a 2 year contract at 40 years old. My guy actually spent a little time in Washington in his days kicking, as well as punter Jake Bailey coming in. To me, I feel like the Falcons have gotten better, at least from a depth standpoint. They played very well in spurts last season. I am curious to see how new head coach Kevin Stefanski continues to evolve and shape the roster. He has put together a really good staff down there. I think that they are going to take steps forward and not steps back, especially if they have good camps and things like that. But we won't know until September. But on paper, it looks like they are moving forward and not backward. The only real loss that I see on the team is Caden Ellis, who is one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Now that team, they did pick up a lot of good players. Again, like I said with the quarterback, you want a guy who you can not have to change your game plan for. Picked up a couple of good wide receivers, returning Kyle Pitts. Got a few good edge rushers there, and again, a lot of them are 1 year. Actually, the majority of them are 1 year. Good grab for the Falcons getting Sidney Brown, and it basically just got Sidney Brown and said we'll take a couple picks back. Um, it's looking like a sharp team. I think they're going after some things that they need to become contenders. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think that maybe in this draft you get some guys and make some good moves, and you might be there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I like what the Falcons did, but I love what the Carolina Panthers have done to this point in the offseason. Um, they went out and got Kenny Pickett, a very reliable backup for Bryce Young. Now, here's my thing with Kenny Pickett. He is now on his fifth team in 5 years in the NFL. Hopefully, he finds something magical down there with Dave Canellis and that offense. But it is a good opportunity for him. They were on the upward trend last season. They started to play really well toward the middle of the season, um, and they've only gotten better. They've signed a running back, A.J. Dillon. That is a huge get, especially with losing Rico Dowdle to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That makes a lot of sense to me. Uh, John Mechie the third, wide receivers. That also gives a little familiarity to Bryce Young as well. You get John Mechie, both Alabama guys. You'll love to see that, as well as wide receiver David Moore re-signing with the team. Uh, Moving on to the tight end room, they did sign Felipe Franks, which I think underrated blocker, underrated pass catcher. To me, it feels like a good signing for the team. He's probably just a depth piece, but I think he makes a difference, especially in the run game as they come along. And on the offensive line, they made some good moves as well. They signed tackle Stone Forsythe and Rasheed Walker. Rasheed Walker being the big one here, that makes a world of difference. Being able to keep Bryce Young upright, he is a really good decision maker when he is standing on his feet and not having to backpedal and throw off his back foot or scramble. Um, it's, at least on stuff that's not designed. And staying along that offensive line, they went out and got Luke Fortner, who was one of my favorite picks at center. Once the need arose in Washington, I feel like Luke Fortner was an underrated center on the market. They did a really good job going to get him. New moving to the defensive side of the ball, here's where they made waves. If you ask me, they made waves on the defensive side of the ball. Do I think that these are championship winning waves? No. Are they steps in the right direction paired with a good draft class? They could definitely be contenders, though. Edge Travis Gibson re-signing with the team on a one-year deal. That he made an impact. He definitely made an impact last season. Here is the one signing that I think really pushed Washington to Odafe Owe. Edge rusher Jalen Phillips leaving the Eagles and going to get a bag down in Carolina. He's going to Charlotte, 4 years, $120 million. That to me is a splash signing. That is huge. If, and hear me out on this one, partner. Here's the big if. If he is healthy, if he can be on the football field, his best ability is availability, and we love that. Now, if he can produce and he can be on the football field, then he's worth every bit of the $30 million a year that he signed for. Uh, Moving backward across the defense to the linebacker room, they did sign Nick Hampton as well as Isaiah Simmons re-signing, staying with the team. Made a really big impact in that linebacker room. Made a ton of plays. I like Isaiah Simmons. A guy that I wanted on Washington until Leo Chenal signed on the dotting line. Devin Lloyd, the best linebacker in this year's free agent draft class or free agent linebacker class, getting his bag. 3 years, $40 million, $25 million fully guaranteed. That's a huge signing. That Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd make that front seven better, especially from pass rushing coverage. Caleb Evans re-signing with the team, staying in that cornerback room. I think having veteran leadership of J.C. Horn and things like that makes a world of difference. And safety Nick Scott going down to Carolina as well also makes a world of difference. J.J. Jansen, I'm not mistaken, the longest tenured Panther, staying there as the long snapper. We love to see that. And bringing in a new punter, Sam Martin, 2 years, $5 million.
That Carolina Panthers team's starting to look good, and taking Jalen Phillips away from the Eagles. I mean, hey, we love to see it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But man,
Um,
I have to tell you, this I like what they're doing up there, but Tampa Bay is also doing a few good things down there in Florida.
well, let's talk about that. Why don't you tell me about Tampa Bay? What they doing down there?
Well, they signed a decent backup in Jake Browning. They got a good running back for a 2-year deal, $14 million, and Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth done really well. He's played good football. I wouldn't say he's a starter, but he's definitely a guy you can have swapping in and out.
Yes, fills
Um,
the hole that Rashad White left coming
yes,
to the Commanders. That's huge. Having a guy like that for Bucky Irving in that backfield is ton. That's a scary 1-2 duo.
absolutely. And then you have a guy, Kate Otten, who signed in, and it looks like he will probably be the starter. He's re-signed on for a 3-year, $30 million and $20 million fully guaranteed. So he only has $10 million to worry about in incentives. And you also have tight end Kokeef, who I'm sure is going to be a great run blocker, a great guy to have backing up K. Dotton. Then you move on down to the offensive line. Dan Feeney, he re-signed with them. He does great, protecting uh,
Huge on the
Baker
inside of
Mayfield.
that
Sorry,
on the interior of that offensive line for Baker. That's huge.
absolutely. And this Bucks team was also in the chase in 2024. They unfortunately met the hammer that is or that was the Washington Commanders. They were not the hammer the next year, that's for sure. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, they got Al Quadin Muhammad. Uh, he signed in a 1-year deal, along with defensive lineman Ashawn Robinson, who signed another 1-year deal, 10 million fully guaranteed. No incentives for him, just 10 straight million. Um, Move on down to linebackers on a 2-year, $17 million deal with Alex Azalone, and then safety Miles Killebrew. Now, they didn't do as much in free agency as the Carolina Panthers or the Atlanta Falcons. To me, it kind of seems like they were kind of okay with the team they had. Didn't really go searching for a whole lot, but they did address some of their issues, going back after Kate Otten, saying, "Hey, please don't go." So
Yeah,
he done really
Baker's
well
a
for them.
security blanket, especially with Mike Evans
Yeah,
heading out
absolutely.
west.
Yep. Uh, which I'm surprised they haven't really picked up anyone to replace him yet. They might be waiting for the draft for that. Um, it's hard to tell as of right now. But man, speaking on what's going on in the NFC South, why don't you tell us about the people that want to know about the Saints? What's
All
going
right,
on down there in New Orleans?
Saints fans, I want you guys to know that I have prepared this section just for you guys. As some of you may know, I'm a Louisiana transplant, so covering some stuff for my guys down here in the boot. Let's start at the top in that running back room. Ty Chandler, big depth piece. I like Ty. Really quick on his feet. Also a really good pass blocker. That makes a world of difference. but the big one. And we've been pronouncing his name wrong since he got to college, and he has recently corrected us. Came home back to Louisiana. Travis Achan.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yes, yeah. Travis Achan getting his bag, 4 years, $52 million. That's awesome. The kind of back that makes you wonder: are they moving on from Alvin Kamara at some point in time this season or next? Um, who knows? Going out and getting tight end Noah Fant, who is an underrated pass catcher, but an absolutely perfectly rated pass blocker and run blocker. Really, really good with his hands. I like this signing. I think it adds another good piece around quarterback Tyler Shuck as he continues to develop. And these next two signings also huge. Re-signing Dylan Radins on that offensive line, that makes a world of difference. And going out and getting David Edwards, the guard from Buffalo, I think that makes a world of difference, especially having played with a, we'll call him championship caliber. He hasn't been there yet, but obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, playing with Josh Allen. That's a guy you want up there. Um, they made some big splashes on the defensive side of the ball. Re-signing both Chris Rumpf and John Ridgeway, that makes a world of difference. John Ridgeway, a huge body on the inside of that defensive line, former commander himself, and going out, and to me, this is the most underrated signing in the entire free agent draft class. Caden Ellis signing with the New Orleans Saints. That is a huge piece, especially with Demario Davis going up north to New Jersey to join the Jets. That makes a world of difference. You get younger, you get faster, and he still has that exact same football IQ that you can rely on from a savvy vet like Demario Davis. So that to me is a hugely underrated signing. They did re-sign safety Julian Blackman as well, and threw the bag at punter Ryan Wright. 4 years, $14 million, and a $2.5 million signing bonus as the punter. You don't. You hope that you're paying him not to work. If you're the New Orleans Saints, um, one caveat to the Saints, what they have done and what I would have done, but I don't think they could really afford based on what their cap number is. They did go. Um, they went south in the cornerback room. Alante Taylor left, got his bag, 4 year, $60 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. We'll discuss that on another episode. That's where I think that an area they can improve. Whether they do that in another round of free agency, we can cover that at another time. But I also like the moves. They are also trending upward, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Getting right for quarterback Tyler Shuck and second-year head coach Kellen Moore. I think they're going to make waves. Everything started to fall together. Mickey Loomis is a patient guy in the front office of this organization, and I think they're doing the right things. They're putting pieces in place. They're going to have a plan. Um, it's going to be really, really nice. It's I like what they're doing. How do you feel about ranking these teams based on their off season? We know
Well,
how they ranked last season via the actual standings.
right.
Let's go with the off season. Who has won the NFC South off season to
Well,
this point in your mind?
before I jump into that, I do just want to preface the last season standings for those of you who are listening and maybe you're driving, you can't pick up your phone and look at it. The Panthers finished top of the division. Coming in second was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then coming in third were the Falcons, and then coming in last was the Saints. I think they went 6-11, I believe. Um, and those top three, I think, all finished 8-9. Uh, the top three of those teams were fantastic. They did really well. As far as in the division. Whenever you're tying for the top, you're playing great. Um, Now, as far as, and this is my personal rank for free agency. At number one, I have the Panthers. At number two, I have the Saints. At number three, I have the Falcons, and lastly, I have the Bucks. Now, I tell you this because for me, number one is the Panthers because of what they went out and got. They've done really well. They went out and got, addressed some things that they needed, and they signed a lot. They signed depth. They signed replacements. Um, they signed starters. And what really sold me on them was the edge rusher of Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd, linebacker. Um, Now, the reason that the Saints are number two is because of that. Now they are at number two because they went out and got Travis Achan. Sorry.
Yes, yes, I know.
And
I apologize to Travis and Trevor. That's on us. Y'all
and
let us
Noah
do
Fant.
it though.
Now the Saints are doing what they need to work on. What seems to me while watching them last season was they were trying to kind of rebuild the last couple of seasons, trying to find their guy at quarterback, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as a Commanders fan, um, and growing up watching Washington, we've been through it for sure. Um, so y'all down there in New Orleans, stay hopeful because it's coming. Your time is coming, I promise.
Yeah,
Um,
you have the.
but those are my rankings for that. What are your rankings? Where do you rank these teams?
I am going to echo that number one with the Carolina Panthers. I think they did the most to address the most positions, whether that be depth pieces in that defensive line, whether that be new starters. Obviously, Devin Lloyd was my darling pick for the entirety of this free agency round until I started watching tape on Leo Chenal and just watching how good he is. But they got better in the running back room. I like AJ Dillon. Um, I would be I would be hard pressed to say that they are worse than they were last year. I think this is a team that is building, and that to me makes a world of difference for where they are versus where they were. I am going to go with the Falcons at number two. I think they did a little bit more than the Saints, and lost a little bit less. And what positions were lost, they did try to address immediately. They made a couple of better moves, in my opinion.
Right.
Now the Saints are third as far as new league year to this point. They have done a lot, and that's huge. Caden Ellis, Travis Achan, Noah Fant, those guys are stellar signings. Those are fantastic signings. Um, but there's just stacked classes all throughout this division as far as free agency classes.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna bring up the rear with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's not that they didn't go out and get quality guys. Kenneth Gainwell retaining Kate Otten, Alex Anzalone from the Detroit Lions just flies around, hits everybody, always where the ball is. But to me, it seems to me, especially not treating the wide receiver position, and I think they're going to hang out, try to do that in the draft. I would have thought they would have tried to make a splash signing. I may have heard their name in on Romeo Dobbs or Alec Pierce, but I don't think he was ever leaving Colts. So I feel like they did a lot, but they didn't do enough to win the division in the offseason to this point.
Right.
So that's my top four.
Absolutely. And I agree. I agree with it. Um, Obviously, a little bit differences, which is that's what we're here for. We're here for the
Yes.
debates, the hot topics, the back and forth. Well, brother, if that is all you have for us in this, I want to ask you who you think, and the way too early to tell, is going to be the division winner in the NFC South.
Based solely off of the trending direction and what they achieved last season, I like to think that the Saints are going to take the biggest step forward. That offense really started to hum. Tyler Shuck really came into his own. He's a big, strong kid, strong arm. I can't call him a kid. He's 26 years old. But they put some pieces around him. That defense is largely still intact. The addition of Caden Ellis is huge. I think they go cornerback in the first round of the draft if Mansour Delane is there. A little tidbit for you before we start covering the draft. But I think Mansour Delane, if he's there, goes to New Orleans and they are immediately contending for the division.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to rebuttal. I think that the Carolina Panthers actually stick to last year's trend where they won the division last year. I think they're going to win the division again this year. Um, as long as uh, they don't pick funny, I guess is what the word would be. As long as they don't go, you know, get something they don't need in the draft, which happens a lot. But Bryce Young needs to continue playing how he played last season and get better even. He needs to improve. And then with all of these signings that they have, I believe that they are probably going to be the team that pulls off the most. Um, sorry, I lost the freaking page. Um, going after the guys that they have, I don't know. I think they have improved a lot, and again, that's why they were my number one pick for um, how they did in the offseason. But unless another team like the Falcons or the Saints just picks the best, I think the Saints are behind us in I think they pick 8.
Yes. Yeah, they pick at 8 in the NFL draft this season.
So it really depends because if we don't go with Caleb Downs, I think that's who they should go for. And if that happens, then they may take a large leap. It's just for me, I feel like the Panthers are already there and they just need an extra nudge. Again, they got Jalen Phillips to help them, Devin Lloyd, um, AJ Dillon, and they have a good backup in Kenny Pickett. Now, again, like you said, 5 years, 5 new teams, but they've just done so much in this offseason that I think that as of right now, and again, this is way too early to tell, that based on only offseason facts, I think the Panthers are going to run it back. I think they might end with a um, I don't know, 10 and what is it, 10 and 7, 10 and 8, 10 and 7, I think.
10 and 7,
Record.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to end up with. Just for me personally, just I think they're finally going to get that winning season that they've been wanting for a couple years now. But that's my pick for who's going to win the division.
Absolutely. I like it. I like it. I like the debate. Um, I like how confident you are in this. Uh,
I know old Mo will be proud.
my Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, shout out to our godfather Mo. We love that cat.
Absolutely.
Um, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. My logic behind my thinking, since you provided logic for yours, my logic behind my thinking with the New Orleans Saints is Alante Taylor, not the biggest name to move on.
Right.
You obviously replace Demario Davis with Caden Ellis. That's huge. Um, you go out and get Travis Achan. That's huge. You go out and get Noah Fant. That's huge. Um, they had the third best free agency class, but if they get Mansour Delane, who over the past 2 years has allowed 22 catches against SEC wide receivers, you get the hands down best cornerback in the NFL draft. I think that's the position where they are missing. And I think that is the nudge that the New Orleans Saints need, especially with the way that offense started to play. Tyler Shuck positive on his touchdowns to interceptions. Um, Chris Olave had another 1,000-yard season. You add in a guy like Travis Achan who provides stability in the backfield. And then you pair him with Alvin Kamara and Ty Chandler. I like the direction that the Saints are pushing. And if I think as far as serviceable play, Caleb Downs helps everyone. But if you look at true need, Mansour Delane out of LSU provides the biggest boost to the New Orleans Saints. I don't think Caleb Downs makes it past 7 if in fact he gets there. Um,
And I'm hoping he
if he
does.
does, if he does, um, then it's a toss up. If Mansour Delane and Caleb Downs are there, I still think they pick Mansour Delane because he adds an immediate need.
Absolutely. Well, partner, I think that's going to do it for this rendition of Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey. You want to take us out?
Absolutely. All right. Thank you as always, partner. Absolutely
Of
killing it,
course.
doing wonderful things. Love doing this with you, man. Can't wait to do it again in 2 days. We're a day late. I'm sorry about that, y'all. We just had really busy days yesterday, so sorry about being a day late, but we're back on schedule. Thank you guys for bearing with us. Corey, as always, buddy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for being here, as always. And we will see you guys right there. We will see you guys the next time on Off the Bench. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Bye.